ESPN 1420, ESPN1420.com. Welcome back into the Great Scott Show, the Great Sports Callers Open Think Tank. And joining me now, as promised, the head football coach of the Lafayette High Mighty Lions, Rob Poole. And we are in the, I wouldn't call it the bowels of the gym, but you guys are moving a lot of stuff around down here. It looks different since the last time I came on the athletic campus at Lafayette High.
Well, that's one of the focal points of what we're trying to do in terms of giving our kids a good experience here is just try to make it look nice. So this is the old coach's office, actually. We turned it into a team meeting room. So.
And now your coach's office is kind of the coach's office.
Right, it's a staff room, and we gutted some old area that was used for a defensive coordinator and some storage. We turned it into a big office, so it's more comfortable in there. The staff is easier to assemble, and we can work together.
Well, let's discuss last season a little bit before we look ahead. I know the expectations were higher than 3-7, but you ended with a thrilling victory against Como. I guess what did you learn most about last season, and how do you implement it into 2017?
I think as time goes on, you just kind of see what you did and see what works, see what doesn't work, and so we did that. I think early on we had some issues, and even me as a head coach had to grow a little bit and learn how to delegate stuff and let them handle it, and then that way I can just concentrate on what I need to do. But over the off season, our administration did a really good job for us of changing the structure of our program and giving us more athletic PE hours so that we can break it down and work with kids on an individual basis, and then helping us to hire coaches. I went from a staff where last summer I was trying to coach running backs and help with the offense, trying to coach linebackers, and trying to coach in the secondary too. And now I've got 12 guys working, so everybody's got a little piece of the puzzle, and they all have a duty list that they have to take care of, and I kind of just organize.
Now, late last season, Coach Rob Poole, our guest, ESPN1420.com, you took over the offensive duties, the play calling duties, or pretty much all of the duties. What week was that? That was
going into after the Barb game. I just didn't feel comfortable where we were, and it wasn't anything against anybody. Just I wanted my handprint on it. How everything was working. So going into the Sulphur game, me and the offense coordinator decided I was going to call third downs and 2-minute drills, and then he was going to do the first and second down. And so our mindset, because we were having such an issue with being in long yards on third down, and then having some turnovers that resulted into trying to get first downs, is his job as first and second down play caller was to get us in a good third down situation. And so toward the end of the first quarter, we kind of moved the ball a little bit, and then we made a big play, and it was just almost like a relief, And then I handled some 2-minute drills. We scored 10 points in the last 4 minutes of the first half to put us back in the ball game. And then after that game, I just felt like, with it being my program, and at the end of the day, my record as a head coach, I felt like I needed to be in charge of the offense, because just for more game decisions, like when you're the defensive coordinator, you have to go over and make adjustments all the time. And so it was like third down decisions and whether to punt or go for it on fourth down and stuff like that. I couldn't get into the flow of the game because I was handling so much of the defense. So actually just switched with the offensive coordinator. He went to defensive coordinator and called the last 2 games. He did a really good job for us, and I went to offense and kind of did what I wanted to do.
And the offense improved over the last couple of games. Is the plan going in for you to be in charge of the offensive play calling duties this year?
Yes, and we have more of our stuff in. The last really against the Acadiana is really when we started running my offense completely, and we had just a small section of it in. But now over the off season, we've had a chance to do all of our installs. Right now we're looking at different personnel and running our base stuff and concepts, and the kids are comfortable with it. I think the main difference is the way we practice, and I think that was the big difference toward the end of the year. Is with the high school kids, you can't tell them what to do; they've got to go do it. And so our tempo in offensive practice changed, and we were less talking about it. We usually chalk it, walk it, and then when we go out to the practice field, we're going full speed.
Lafayette High, Mighty Lion head football coach Rob Poole, our guest. You can catch all of Lafayette High's games this year once again on our sibling station, News Talk 96.5 KPEL, sandwiched between the Acadiana post-game show. And Ian Oza and Brandon Como will have all of the action for you this season. We're here in late July, but week 1, and certainly jamborees are going to be here before you know it. You played a lot of sophomores later in the season last year. Was it because they were the best available players? Were you kind of looking ahead to this season? And I guess the follow-up question is, you have a lot of experienced players as a result of a lot of younger guys, underclassmen, getting in varsity minutes last year.
But I think it's that old idea that you're gonna play your older guys, but for us as a program, I think there's two things. One, we want our kids to know if they put in the hard work and they earn it, that we're gonna play them regardless of what age they are. If they can make plays on a Friday night, they're gonna get to play. And the second thing is, that's just the best way for us to develop depth. We want to have two deep everywhere. We want to play some young guys on special teams if they can handle it. So I think it's an incentive for a younger kid, because I think good programs don't have to start sophomores, but they have sophomores that are ready to play. And so that was the mindset there. But, toward the end of the year, it was just those guys were ready to get in the game, and we had some injuries along the way that kind of got them ready to go, and they were doing good at practice, so we just went ahead and put them in there. Put them in and let them see what they could do, and they made some plays.
That last game of the season, Coach, some felt like, well, Como's going to the playoffs, Lafayette High, their record, it's probably not. And you guys went out there, and it was a thrilling game. You won it. What kind of carryover has that kind of had going into the offseason? Getting to end last year's campaign where you didn't meet expectations, but ending it on a positive note and starting to see, like you said, you took over play calling duties. You're starting to see at least some of those things come together as you headed into the offseason.
Well, I thought that it gave us a good positive memory of the season. Even though we didn't win as many as we wanted to, it was good for our program because our fans and the band and everybody that was there had a good time at the end of the game. But also, it kind of just validated that everything we're doing is going to work.
Yeah.
We finally got some understanding. Our quarterback was a sophomore all year, and he kind of grew up. That last game, he made some nice plays and really made some good decisions and protected the football toward the end. And we had said it, the week before we put it all together. I thought against Sam Houston, we played a complete game, and I don't know, they weren't really sky high when they came in. They were a little bit, kind of going through the motions, I think, because they were in the same situation we were. But that was a good win for us. But I told the guys at halftime, I said, the only thing that we didn't accomplish this year in terms of winning games and being successful was a comeback. I think that comeback victory is something only certain programs kind of put together. And I've been other places where we expected to win, and so when we were in situations where it didn't look good, we would find a way. And then that night, everything kind of lined up. We scored on a slant go, and then on a double move, and then they fumbled the kickoff, and then we got a quick touchdown on a trick play, and so it kind of put us back in the ball game. And then defense played really well in the secondary, especially with a couple of turnovers. So, it just kind of showed them that regardless of the score, we just got to keep playing and see what happens.
You mentioned your quarterback, Brennan Broussard, now a junior, but I know you've got some really talented young guys kind of coming up in the wings. How does the depth chart look at the most important position on the football field?
Well, I think that we want to have a program where we got 4 guys. I want one in every year, but when we started last season, we really didn't have a quarterback on campus other than Brennan, so it was kind of deals where, I didn't play until I was a senior at quarterback. Probably couldn't have played as a sophomore. He did a good job for being a sophomore, but, you would hope that things would have lined up different. It didn't. But that experience is something we can't coach. But Gabe Navarro he does a good job. He's pretty elusive, and we run some triple option and stuff like that, so he's going to be good in that game. And then our freshman, Zan Saunier, he's coming from Milton Middle School, but he's around 6 foot, like 170 right now. He played Mike Backer in quarterback, so he's got that tough mentality. Both of those guys did a really good job. In the quick slants, JV 707, we were 2-1 versus the varsity teams we played, and then we got beat in the semis by St. Thomas More, but one throw away from winning that ball game. So
is it kind of open competition at QB?
It's always open. That's the coach's cliche statement. But right now Brennan's gonna be our guy. But as time goes on, it's just like everywhere else. I'm tough on those quarterbacks, and they'll tell you that too. I don't coach them like they're prima donnas. I'm on them all the time about making decisions and protecting the ball, getting us in good situations. So, I think Brennan's obviously he's got the experience, but I'm going to try to get him some playing time as time goes on.
One of the best playmakers in the state is COI Thomas. You've got him as a wide receiver, as a senior. my guess is one of the leaders on this team. What's his value to this program this season?
Well, he's been in any of those guys that started, or they've been in the battles, and you can't coach that. You know what you're having to go against. So in the off season, when we were working in the weight room, the guys that have been they're battle tested, that know what they're going to see, then they've got to get their level of intensity up there so everybody can match it. So on the perimeter, he's one of our main guys that have experience, and he made some nice plays throughout the summer, catching crossing routes, making plays down the field. Everybody we played, we could get him the ball when we wanted to. So we're going to try to, feature him in some of the combos, because he's going to be what we're trying to get the ball to. But then again, in the spring, his ability to make plays after the catch was evident. And so he's coming off an injury last year that I just never really felt like he was good. He just mentally he wouldn't let it loose. And this summer he hadn't had that issue. He's done a good job. And the thing about passing game is you gotta have good protection, you gotta have timing, your quarterback's gotta make the right decision, and you gotta catch it. So it's just the whole thing's got to be put together. And sometimes you want to blame it on one aspect of it, but when it all works right, Coy's going to be able to make some plays.
Defensively, you introduced me to your D coordinator just a couple minutes ago before we started recording. He's got to replace some good players. Chance Anderson last year was a really good one for you guys at linebacker, some safeties. Defensively, what's the outlook, and maybe one or two players you think really have to step up this year and kind of take over the reins?
Well, in the secondary, for instance, we have Caleb Washington coming back. He's a leader for us. He dislocated his ankle in the spring scrimmage, but he's been here every day working, saying the right stuff, making sure everybody's on the right page. He's going to be able to step back in when the season starts and be a contributor. We're young at safety, so we need somebody in the back end that can keep everybody level-headed. At linebacker, Brandon Revere and we have a Richard kid. They're both going to do Hunter Richard. They're both going to do good in there, But I think the strength of our defense is going to be on the edges. Our joker is I think Alabama and LSU maybe call him a jack linebacker, but he's our fourth rusher when we go to our 4-down stuff.
Right.
And plays on the run strength side boundary. His name is Thomas. It's Uche's brother.
Okay.
Who's going to Central Arkansas. Arkansas Monticello. But Dumabee's a big guy, and he plays well in space. He can cause some tackles, some problems coming off the edge. He's a tweener that we're looking for. And then Will Delahousie, he was a sophomore starter last year. We call him the money, but he's our down safety to the passing strength. He makes a lot of trips checks. He comes off the edge, plays on the tight end sometimes. So those positions are hard for us to find, and I feel like we have two solid guys there that can make plays and help us be multiple.
You open up the season at STM. A couple of trips to Lake Charles. Late in the season, you're traveling a little bit. How do you feel about the layout of the schedule this year?
Well, I think, one thing I'm really excited about is our scrimmage and the Jamboree opponents. We're going to see Karen Crow and Breaux Bridge the first two, and nobody's got, better athletes than them. So you're going to see some good athletes those first 2 weeks that we kind of can measure up, see what's our team speed look like,
Sure.
How quick can we hit the hole in the run game because they're going to close them fast, and in the secondary we're going to see some man-to-man some. So can we make some tight throws in the windows, and make plays in the passing game. So we're going to stay vanilla early on and just kind of, look at our personnel and see how that works. But those are going to be good tests. But then, STM early on, with those games, with the quality point system, if we win, it's going to be really good for us. If we lose, then you're still going to get your points because, if you play a team that goes 0-10, you get the same amount if you beat them. So that's going to be a good test for us, and I feel like it's a good way to start the season. And it's going to be a big game for our community. A lot of our kids are friends with STM people, so you got bragging rights there, and we want to be on the front page, as much as we can. So I'm not going to shy away from a challenge.
Lafayette High head football coach Rob Poole has been our guest. What's the expectation this season? What's the goal, Rob?
Well, I think at the end of the day, if you're like, well, we're going to win this many games or we're going to do this, sometimes you cut yourself short if you don't handle it. So we just talk about breaking our thing down into small battles. Like yesterday on the workout, we want to win the workout yesterday. We want to win those reps. At practice, the same thing. Stay focused. Play as a team. I've got a bunch of guys on offense, especially that can make plays. So we don't want to give it to one guy the whole time. We want to spread it out, and they're going to have to be unselfish and play as a team. But I think that's the main goal, is just continuing to build a program, to create stability in our coaching staff and in our program and our kids, and then hopefully down the road, we can talk about, the same thing, just continuing to win on a daily basis.
For those listening that don't know Lafayette High football well, or don't know much about Rob Poole, give us a quick bio. Your history in the sport of football and how you came to be the head coach of the Mighty Lions.
Well, I was my dad and uncle were head football coaches in Mississippi, so I grew up around the game. I mean, I even have an article where I was asked. I was a quarterback my dad's last game, and as a coach, and they asked me what I was going to do, and I said I was going to coach. So in that regard, like, that was probably always one of my goals was to be a head football coach. I started out at Olive Branch High School in the mid-2000s, probably 2000. I think 2005 was my first year there. We had some really good players. I think there's 6 NFL guys out of the school in that short time period, probably 30 D1 kids. So we were like, a big-time program in North Mississippi in that area. So from there, I was the defensive coordinator at Olive Branch, and then we had some shakeup in the administration at Olive Branch. So I went to Briarcrest in Memphis, Tennessee. It's in the Elite 11 district, where you've got Memphis University School and Christian Brothers, and the big-time schools in Nashville, Innsworth, Montgomery Bell Academy, Brentwood Academy. I worked in the private school section for 2 years, and then I just felt like I was ready to be a head coach. So my wife's from this area, so when I was looking around for a head job, Lafayette High was up and open, so I was lucky enough to get given the opportunity.
And here he is in Cajun country, getting ready for the 2017 season. Rob, I like what you're doing here, on campus. You've got some new things on the wall to sort of appreciate the history of the program, and some good ones that have played here. I won't tell Billy Rickman, but his name was on the wall. But you have, the colleges where, D1 players and guys that have really kind of paved the way and embracing the history of the program while also just tackling the future and getting ready for what's ahead. And you're changing some of the offices and the scenery. I know it obviously doesn't happen overnight. This has kind of been a grind for you the last year plus, but best of luck this season. I know us at Town Square Media are looking forward to calling the games again this year, getting them on the radio, and we look forward to having you on the show again.
I appreciate it.
All right, that's head football coach Rob Poole of the Lafayette High Mighty Lions.